Steve was just sharing he got his vaccine. Anyone else get their vaccine? We've got Susan. Oh, good, Susan. Yay. Kyle, you got one too? Oh, good, good. Matthew, you're not. Oh, good, good. Matthew's not an open tier yet, unless you've got some kind of chronic disease I don't know about.
Unfortunately, no.
Fortunately, you don't know.
Yeah, fortunately.
I'm going to let the public in now since it's 5:30, so just be aware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to let you know, this meeting is going to be a little different than the last one. There is no Q&A and there is no chat. So anybody from the public that wants to make comments, the chair will need to call on them whenever they're ready for public comment. Otherwise, there will be no chat or Q&A. Thanks.
How will is there a way for them to be identified if they have a comment or question? Could they raise their hand or?
Yes, they will need to raise their hands and then they can be called on in whatever order the chair would like to call them.
Got it. Thank you. Let's see. Let's see Phil. Oh, there he is. Speak of the devil. You there, Phil?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes, we can hear you.
Gavin clarified tonight that there's not going to be a chat or a Q&A. So if someone from the public wants to comment, they'll have to raise their hand and you'll have to call on them in order for them to make public comment.
Who will have to call them?
The chair, you.
Okay. All right.
Phil, if you want to open your participants window and then click on attendees, when people raise their hand, you'll be able to see it there. And then just signal me who you'd like me to allow to speak, and I'll be happy to unmute them for whatever length of time you want them unmuted.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
We'll give we'll do one more minute here. I was late myself. I thought you were going to be late too, Melanie.
Why did you think I would be late?
You just texted saying how you were wrapping up on the call.
Oh. I've been on meetings all day. I only leave here to get food.
7. I miss Steve up in the corner. Well, we have all we're not missing anybody, so I think we're good to go. Yeah, I think all the members are here that are members. Actually, our vacancies are done, so I think we're all good. All right, Susan. Well, let's call this to order. Let's get this ball rolling here. So we will start with you, Susan, with your roll call, please.
Okay. District 1 still vacant. District 2, I see Matthew.
Make sure he's on the
Present.
record as present.
Yeah. He's present there. District 3, Jean, do we hear you? We don't see you.
Make sure everybody says present. It's on the record that everybody's present.
Jean, you're muted if you're trying to talk. We
Bob,
see
back-
your name.
check on Jean. District 4 is.
All right, got it.
Oh, thanks, Jean. You're present.
Yes.
Thank you. District 5, I don't see Lucio, but
He's down there.
present. Thanks. District 6, Steve, you're present.
Present.
Thank you. Melanie, are you present?
I am present.
And Phil, you're present too.
Yeah, I am right here. Thank you very much, Susan. Appreciate it. So our next order of business is our approval of the agenda. I explained to Melanie and Jill already that I have.
You just dropped out, Phil.
Yeah, definitely.
He has the worst reception there.
Looks like he's got the pause of death.
Yeah. So I think what he was going to say was he does have to get off the call around 6 for about 20 minutes. Right, Jill? I think that's what he had told us earlier. And during that time, I can go ahead and chair in his place. And then he'll come back just as soon as he can. So, yeah, there he is.
There we go. So I'm on my phone, so I don't know how much I can see on my phone as far as participants raising hands, but we'll figure that out. But I was going to say that I don't know if you guys heard that I need to drop off about 6 o'clock, but I'll be back about 6:15-ish, 6:20-ish. So what I would like to do on the agenda is move my report up to the very beginning. And then we can go into the proposal from Kyle Lowe. That way I make sure I get it in and we have our discussion on it. Is there a motion so that would be that's what I want to do. Is anyone want to make any other change to the agenda? Any other members want to make any changes to the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda
With the change?
with your change. Yes,
All right.
sorry.
I
We have a
second
second?
that.
Cool.
Second.
Is anyone opposed to the agenda? With the changes?
I'm back on my desktop now. Does anyone oppose? Okay, so we're going to do the new agenda with that change right quick. Thank you very much for accommodating me, everyone. So we go into our next order of business, which is the approval of the minutes from February 24th. I'm assuming that all members have read it, saw it. Does anyone want to make any changes to the minutes from February? Or does anybody see any corrections that need to be
Yeah, a
made?
couple of quick little things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Susan, in the where is it? Oh, the paragraph, letter to county supervisors, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line down. G. Richards said that it doesn't hurt. You mean to go, right?
It didn't hurt to send this letter of support, but
You wrote not, but I think you meant to.
doesn't hurt. Oh, I see.
Yeah, just a little
Doesn't hurt.
typo.
Okay, I can make that change.
And then down under FPD, Enforcement and Collision Report, January 31, 2021, and then January 20,
Okay.
20 what?
Then it should be in January 2021. There have been 8.
Oh, I see, just the first month. Okay, got it.
Right. That first statistic is the August 1st, 2020 up to January 31st, 2021.
Okay, good, thanks. And then down
For catching
under,
us.
down under the report by Officer Belli, you should also add that I met with Officer Belli and Sergeant Wyhe, W-Y-H-E, his supervisor.
Okay, I didn't make note in the minutes, so I don't know if you mentioned the officer's name at the last meeting.
Yeah, I
But
don't remember.
I remember him. I mean, I remember Gene saying that he met with 2 officers. So
okay.
you can add it in there. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think that'll be an issue.
That's all,
Okay, I will.
just small stuff.
Anyone else have any questions about the minutes or changes that need to be made?
Motion to accept the minutes with the stated changes.
I will, sure. Let me ask if there's a motion first. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes with the changes that we just made?
That's what I just did. Motion to,
Motion, okay. So Steve has the motion. Who's the second?
I'll second.
Okay, Melanie seconds. Anyone opposed? Sounds like it passed, so that's great. Perfect. Next up is our unscheduled communication from the public on any items that are not on the agenda. So this is specifically any items that are not on the agenda.
So I think,
Do we
I'm not
have-
sure if everyone knows though, the people that are attending, that since there's no chat and no Q&A, if you do want to make comment, you'll need to raise your hand so we can call on you.
Correct, and I will allow 3 minutes for each comment in the unscheduled communications for the items that are not on the agenda. Does anybody have any? I don't see any
I don't
hands
see any
raised.
hands up.
Yeah, I don't see any hands raised at this time. Okay. All right, well, that was easy. All right, so what we're gonna do.
Phil, you
What's
don't
that?
show who's attending, how many people are in the audience, so to speak.
You can see it.
You can
Gene?
see it.
You can see it if you click on participants and then you click on
All right.
Yeah.
attendees. You can see
Okay.
everyone that's a non-panelist on there.
Yeah, I don't know
Thank
if you're
you.
on your phone. I don't know if you're on your phone or your desktop, but
Yeah, I got it. Got it.
all right. I'll go first since I got to get out of here in about 15 minutes anyway. So let me just go over my member reports. I got a couple of things to talk about. One of the things that was asked for me to go over was kind of the role of BPAC for some of the newer members as well. And just to clarify from our last meeting when we had our Brown Act presentation, I think we just need to clarify, what our roles are as BPAC members, and really what we are as committee members are, our role is to engage with our council members or the mayor and the public, and we do that in a very professional way because we do represent the city of Fresno and we do represent that council member or mayor that appointed us to this seat. So I think that is the main role that we do. We don't make legislation. Okay, so we don't have any part of the legislative process. We are not a part of the approval process either. The city of Fresno, council members, mayor, they do not have to come to BPAC in order to pass any projects that are on their agenda. As a courtesy, they can. We would like them to come to us to ask our professional opinions. Some of us have professional opinions. as to, certain projects going forward. But we're here to recommend, advocate on the behalf of pedestrian and bicycle safety, and also the infrastructure in the city of Fresno, and to push our members, our council members, those who appointed us, to recognize more, the city of Fresno and, at this point, the lack of adequate pedestrian and bicycle safety issues, infrastructure, but also to let them know of the type of work that we are doing and advocating for. Because we are, in the last year, we have done some really good work, and we want to make sure that they understand that we're actually results oriented. That's what we want. We want something to show for it. This is not a rubber stamp committee. Again, they don't have to come to us for anything. We don't have to vote on anything that we don't want to. The city just, Public Works comes to us and they just keep us apprised of what's going on, and we can recommend how we can go things are going forward, but we don't have to vote on anything, and they don't need us in the very end to go forward with any infrastructure. But the goal, I think, for BPAC and our as members is in the future is to make BPAC a part of the approval process. That's what we want going forward. We want council members, we want the mayor to come to BPAC and seek out our expertise when it comes to bicycle and pedestrian safety and infrastructure in the city of Fresno. That's what we're trying to, I believe that's what we're trying to move towards, as far as taking this council seriously, or this committee seriously. And I think they're starting to do that as they are asking for our input, when it came to the no fare transit bus system that was just recently passed. They came and asked for our support on that. They gave their presentation, and Susan and Melanie will be filling you guys in on the conversation that we had with the transportation subcommittee on the ATP coordinator position. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but in the end, that is what I believe our role as a committee is. And we need to be working with our council members, our mayor, and the staff at Public Works in a professional manner, with decorum that is not, I should say, that is not in any way toxic. We want to make sure that we are being respected as a committee going forward, and people are seeking us out. And it's very important that as committee members, when we are out in the public, we are conducting ourselves in a professional manner, especially if we're doing anything in the public's eye on bicycle or pedestrian safety. If you're not there in a BPAC capacity, as far as we decided to sponsor this event or we knew you were going, please just let them know that if you have any opinions, that this is not expressed by BPAC as well. This is your opinion. This is your recommendation. If we did not send anyone out in a way to an event saying, hey, can you translate this message? Then in the end, it's not coming from BPAC. It's coming from you personally. You can say I am a member of BPAC, but this is my opinion, and not we haven't even discussed this at BPAC, or it was brought up, but this is how I feel. So I think that's the best way to go forward. If you are not representing BPAC, if you're on the outside, please make sure that you're letting those who you're interacting with know that you're in no way involved with BPAC, because the last thing we want to do is have some miscommunication about who's on BPAC, who's not on BPAC, and then it makes us look like we don't have our stuff together. And I want to make sure that they know that we do have our stuff together. So that's basically my spiel on that. And since it is an agenda item, I will open up to first the members if they have anything to say about the role of BPAC. And then we'll take a few, if no members have any questions on the role of BPAC or anything like that, on what I just said. If anyone in the audience does have any questions, I will, allow you a couple minutes to have a little discussion here. We're just going to go one time through. So if you have it, you'll have 3 minutes, and that's it on this item. So I don't see anybody, the attendees. So my next report is, I just kind of want to throw this out there as something that's going to be coming up in our next BPAC meeting. We had some, at our last BPAC agenda meeting, we had a good conversation, and I want everybody to know that we have something fun coming up. And I think we're looking at the month of May, but we'll be voting on it as a committee next month. We're looking at handing out and starting in this committee some BPAC awards, and we'll have more details on that in the next meeting, so that everyone can hear about what these awards will encompass, and then how we're going to be laying those out. But since we don't have it on the agenda, we can't have any discussion on it. But we can at the next meeting, because this kind of came up a little bit later after our agenda, after some of us came up with ideas about it. But just want to let you guys know that's going to be a fun conversation, and I really hope that it's something that we're able to go forward with. So thank you so much for giving me my time. I'm going to hand it over to, well, I guess since I took up the first part, we're going to move it on over to Kyle Lowe on the PSA proposals, and he's got a few minutes to talk about that, and we'll vote because it is a budgeted item, money that we're going to have to give out to do this. We're going to take a vote as a committee on it. So Kyle, the floor is open to you. I think Gavin can open up your mic. Yeah, I already see you're on here anyway. So thank you for coming, and we all look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyle. I'm the operations manager at CMAC, the Community Media Access Collaborative. We're actually live streaming this meeting to Facebook on our Facebook and the City of Fresno's Facebook. So if you're wondering how that happened, that's through us. But yes, a couple months ago, Tony Molina, and I also spoke to Melanie and Susan and Jill a little bit, approached us about producing a public service announcement, multiple public service announcements about a couple of different installations that have been happening around the city of Fresno, including the Sharrows, the Hawks, and most recently we briefly discussed a public service announcement about cycle tracks. Today, I have a quick presentation about the first PSA that we would be producing about Sharrows. The game plan is, if approved, we would want to get this Sharrows PSA done in time for May, which is bike or cyclist month. If it's possible, I actually have a little presentation. If I can share my screen. Yes, looks like I can. Thank you. And I would like to share this window. All right. Yeah, so a public service announcement about Sharrows. Let me show you briefly what I have in mind for this public service announcement and what it would take to create it. Just some images. So I'm sure everyone who is a part of this committee is familiar with the Sharrows are, but these are some photographs of Sharrows in other locations, although there are a handful of spots on Shields near Gazebo Garden, on McKinley near Fresno High School in Fresno City, and Fresno Street and Gettysburg. There are some Sharrows already in Fresno. I just hadn't had time to go and photograph the ones in town. Now, the public service announcement would run a little like this. This is a 2-column script. On the left are an explanation of the visuals, and on the right, an explanation of the audio, in this case, audio of a narrator. So we would open with a wide shot of a cyclist riding in the lane of one of these locations that a Sharrow is indicated. And the cyclist has full access to the full lane. The narrator would start with, you may have noticed new symbols on the road. And then we could get a medium shot of the Shero symbol and a cyclist riding over it. The narrator would say, these are Sheros, or shared lane markings. Then we could cut to some text. What does, and then the Shero symbol mean? The narrator would say, but what do they mean? Then we could use a top-down aerial of the whole road with the Shero symbol, and the narrator would explain, Sheros indicate a shared lane environment for bicycles and cars where a bike lane is not possible. And in this point, we would cut to a driver, a close-up of a driver in a car to explain the responsibilities of a driver. For drivers, this means to be on the lookout for cyclists in the lane and only pass cyclists in a safe manner for everyone on the road. And of course, when it's legal. And then we could cut to a wide angle of a car passing a cyclist in a shared lane. Then we'll discuss the responsibilities for cyclists in a Shero environment. So a medium shot of 2, maybe more cyclists in a lane. And the narrator would explain, for cyclists, this means you are allowed to ride in the full lane and should avoid the door zone of parked cars. And we can give an example of a parallel parked car and someone exiting that car where it would not be safe for a cyclist to ride. And then we'll close with the City of Fresno logo. I'm unsure if BPAC has its own logo. If it does, we could also show that here. And the narrator would close. Sharing the road is easy. Learn more at fresno.gov, or if there's a better URL, if there's fresno.gov/BPAC. I found the BPAC page, but it doesn't seem to be like an easy URL to remember. But we can point people to fresno.gov just to point them in the direction. Timing wise, if the narrator reads this all the way through, this times out to being about exactly 30 seconds. And we were aiming for a 30-second PSA. So what does it take to make a PSA like this? It takes a cast. I would like to put together a group of 4 to 6 cyclists of varying ages, gender, background, and riding experience. When speaking to the small team of BPAC members that we discussed, we probably pull from BPAC members and avid cyclists around the valley. We probably wouldn't have to do like extensive casting. We could probably get a quick call of volunteers. We would also want 2 drivers. As I mentioned in the script, there's some opportunities to show some drivers. I would love to see a variety, possibly a sedan car and a minivan or an SUV in this. We would also need voiceover talent. At CMAC, we have some in-house talent, myself, some of my coworkers, and we could do English and Spanish. But one thing that we discussed is also producing a version of this in Hmong. So we would need to identify a Hmong voiceover actor. We have a network of local actors, and we do have a couple of people who do speak Hmong. So it would just be getting them on board. There are some challenges for this project. As you know, Shero is in an environment where there isn't a bike lane and taking over the entire road. We would want to close down at least one of these locations in Fresno where the road, where there's a Shero road. Ideally, working with Fresno PD to do this. If anyone has ever worked on a committee where there's been a parade or some other event where there's a road closure, I believe the last I was familiar, it's about $150 per hour to close the road with Fresno PD, and they assign a police officer on either end of the closure and at any intersection. But I would assume we would only need 1 block worth to do that. Now doing that, we want to do it for a short time and maximize that amount of time. So it would require to have our talent all coordinated, our shot list all set in stone, running that time. We're on the clock. I would estimate we would want the road closure for about 3 to 4 hours. And it's likely the best time would be to do this early in the morning where we have sunlight, but the roads may not be too crazy with rush hour traffic. So that is something to consider for this project. If this project is approved, my proposed timeline for this would kind of goes like this. We're in pre-production right now, solidifying the script, the cast, and the production date, and confirming that with the cast and the Fresno Police Department. My proposed dates for production are the week of April 13th. So any day, April 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th, that's Tuesday to Friday. As of our CMAX team schedule, that is available for us to work on this project. And that will allow for adequate time for post-production. Post-production is our editing process. We would take a little bit of time to edit our first draft and present it to BPAC for the for final approval. Now, at that point, we would probably work with just the smaller team at BPAC that I've already been working with. We probably wouldn't put the whole post-production process up for committee, but we would probably present it at that next BPAC meeting just so that everyone can see it. And then we would then do a revision edit for the final video delivery. We could probably have that done by May 7th, again, in time for Cyclist Month, Bike Month, which is, I believe, the month of May. Yeah, so that's my overview of what a Shero public service announcement could look like, feel like, sound like, what it would take to make a production like that, and the timeline. Now, I do have the actual costs assessment that I put together. The amount of time that we're putting into this project, the pre-production process with all of the scripting and planning, I anticipate that taking me about 6 hours to do moving forward. And then the production day, it would, like I mentioned, I would anticipate a 4-hour production on site with 2 crew members, and then another half day of recording the voiceovers. So the English voiceover, the Spanish voiceover, the Hmong voiceover. I anticipate us spending about 12 hours on the editing. And then after submitting that first edit and getting notes back for a revision edit, I anticipate that costing being about 4 hours, another half day of editing. Now, the expense that this does not include would be the cost of closing whichever location, whichever street, whether that's Shields by Gazebo Garden, on McKinley near Fresno High or Fresno City, or Fresno near Gettysburg. For the amount of time that we would need to close that road to produce this on-site production. But I figured for that, BPAC would work directly with Fresno PD for that. I believe some in my conversations with Tony, Melanie, Jill, Sue, that you already have connections with Fresno PD. Now, if that is something you would like CMAC to handle, we can handle that and work with Fresno PD for the closure. It would just, we would pass that cost in the final invoice. Yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you. And yeah, what questions do you have for me about producing a PSA about Sheros?
Thank you, Kyle. Do any members have any immediate questions or comments? Phil
Not
jumped
really a
off, so I'm going to take
question,
over.
but
Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Very nice presentation. Looks really good. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Gene.
What set your time limit, Kyle?
We were just aiming for kind of the typical public service announcement length. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about is where will this public service announcement go? I believe in my discussions with Melanie and Sue and Tony, the game plan was to do this as a rollout across social media, which is free, but and doesn't have a time length. But it was also anticipated to also push this out to broadcast networks. There are all of the local affiliates do run public service announcements, but they have a time limit. They are typically adhering to a 15-second, 30-second, or 60-second timeline. And we just felt that 30 seconds is probably the most appropriate amount of time to convey this information and still have it play on broadcast channels. It'll also play on the CMAC public access cable channel, a public government and an education channel, but that of course is also just part of what CMAC does. We play public service announcements from the city of Fresno all the time.
Yeah, Jean, we would have to find placement on our own, ideally, free, because placement on media is super expensive. So the idea was to have CMAC create these pieces for us that we can own and have, and we can then just ask other agencies to play for us. So we'll have to work on that secondary after we get it created. But then we'll own it, we'll have it forever and ever. So we can, replay them again next year if we could, or throughout the year if we had any kind of airtime. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Or even if we had some kind of event, we could have a TV running a couple of our spots over, just passing that information on.
What happened to our connection with the Regal Cinema?
We didn't have a connection. We had some PSAs played, but we certainly paid for those. So the idea was when you go to Regal, they have a production company that says, oh yeah, you can buy airtime from us and we'll go ahead and make it for you. So that's kind of how it worked. And they only played them at Regal. They didn't necessarily give us that piece for us to keep and have. And if we have it, I don't know about it, but it was also specifically for a movie theater ad, which is a little bit different than something we would play on TV.
Yeah, I believe if you already have it, you could present it to Regal or Maya Cinemas. Technically, it's in Clovis, but Sierra Vista. Yeah, for a fee, they would play it in the theater before the movies. That being said, I don't know how soon we'll be back in movie theaters.
That's another good point.
Right.
Well,
it seemed like we got a really good deal with somebody on the committee, maybe the last time we ran a PSA at Regal.
Jill, do you remember how much we paid for that?
I don't, but I want to say it was a good chunk of the budget for the year, which is right around 20,000. So it was a lot of that.
So with the county, we bought and we bought a lot. So we got a deal. We bought a lot of movie time for a number of programs at the health department. We paid upwards of $90,000. So it's really expensive, and you only get it for a short amount of time. You only get, a couple of months worth. And, we were shooting for kind of the summer months that were the big blockbuster movies. So that cost more. And now you can buy your tickets ahead of time. So people aren't necessarily sitting in the theater for 20 minutes to get a good seat, because you could just buy your seat online, show up 5 minutes and have your seat. So we realized at the county, at least, that wasn't the most effective way to do advertising. I think having this piece, playing it on social media, finding some earned media in the community, be it on TV or even radio, I think it would be really cool, and something different. Give us a little more visual, get us a little more audience versus just people going to the movies, and especially because right now no one's going to the movies. So I really like this, and obviously it's a really reasonable amount of money. And Kyle only shared the quote for the Sharrows production, but on the minutes, both of the estimates were included. So that if you look on your attachments to the minutes, there's also the estimate for the Hawks one, which was $2,800. And so even with the two, we're looking pretty good. I think that's an unbeatable deal in my opinion, in my experience with doing advertising and media.
Yeah, I only spoke about the Sharrows one today because that's the more pressing.
That's fine.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you enjoy this process, I'll be back to talk more about what a Hawks PSA could look like, and yeah, we could put that together as well.
This $20,000 has to be used in this fiscal year, I assume,
Yes.
and it's a grant from Public Works.
It's not a grant, it's a part of the budget. So it's a budgeted amount of money from the city for BPAC.
Okay, thank you. And Kyle, who are you going to work with? Are you going to reach out to BPAC for someone to work with? Because I'd like to get involved a little bit at least.
Yeah, Gene, he's already been working with us. So he's been,
Okay.
myself and Susan and Tony have met with him, I think at least twice now. But if that's something you want to be involved in, we can certainly include you in that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he's working with the subcommittee that was put together for that.
Perfect. Are there any other comments? Oh, go ahead, Matthew.
I'll just say real quick that I do lament that at least maybe we don't have like better implementation of sharrows other than like the recent right implementation of them in the right turn lanes at a couple different intersections here and there. Also, my only question would be, why isn't the presentation Kyle showed us like on the minutes?
I only put that together for this. I didn't realize I should have submitted it ahead of time. Yeah.
Kyle, is that something that you could email to us that we can then email to our members?
Certainly.
Awesome, thank you. Any other comments from members?
I think you're gonna have a hard time finding some very visible sharrows in Fresno.
Well, maybe, but we have a couple of locations that we can at least start with. Gene, I want to say Cheryl's was your idea originally to begin with.
Yep.
So
I know. I
feel
wish
like
there were
you're
more.
poo-pooing it now.
I wish there were more.
Well, the
ones-
way that I understood this project was to help, as more Sharrow locations appear in Fresno, this was the primer especially for drivers to get familiar with them. And yes, while we'll probably only work primarily at one location, we can still incorporate images from all of the current Sharrow locations. But then yes, this is the objective of this was to get drivers familiar with them, so as they roll out across more spots in the city, they'll know what to do.
Well, it'd be nice to highlight the ones on McKinley, but they weren't done with very good paint, so they're hard to see right now. And we already gave feedback to Public Works that they shouldn't dive in and out back and forth. They should either take the lane or not take the lane where appropriate. So we've been asking Public Works to redo those, but they haven't seen fit to do them. And the only other one I know that's really visible is on Van Ness before it dips into the railroad tracks at Gazebo Gardens. And I haven't seen the ones on Shields, so maybe someone else knows those.
There's also actually, just to chime in, on Gettysburg, I believe it's Gettysburg and Fresno Street. They put in some sharrows in the right-hand turn lane, and same
Right.
westbound.
Right.
There's also Sierra heading east just before Palm. That was the most recent one that was put up, I believe, in December or November. So at least we have a handful of locations. Anyway, I fully support this.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other members have comments? I'd like to open it up to any members of the public. If you have a comment or a question, can you just raise your hand so we can call on you? Celeste, go ahead, or can we unmute Celeste?
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Hi. I really like this idea. Can I just make a comment that I would really like to see some type of in the type of narration when he's talking about why you should share the lane, kind of like maybe have something saying like I don't know, maybe mentioning the vehicle, maybe mentioning that it's on the vehicle code, or making it sound more like it's an actual law kind of thing, because it is kind of a law. So like maybe that would enthuse the public more to like notice to this versus it just being like, oh, this is kind of a
nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, we can work that into the script somehow, I think. Anything? Thank you, Celeste. Tony, you have your hand up. Can we unmute Tony? Anthony Molina.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I just 2 cents. It would be nice to mention that if you are a motorist sharing the lane with a bicycle, that you should allow the 3 foot distance. So it would be good to mention the 3 foot law in conjunction with passing in the Shero. There, just by the way, there are some states that actually have, you know, with in Sheros, they actually, it's not a 3 foot rule. It's basically change lanes rule. So it's recommended that drivers actually, you know, go out of the shared lane if possible and go, you know, change lanes to pass. So, so I'd like to encourage that that idea, if depending on, you know, how, especially if the lane is narrow there. But yeah, 3 foot rule would be a good thing to include in the shared discussion. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Tony. Any other members of the public have any questions, comments? Okay, I don't see anyone else. So I think now we just need to put it to a vote to officially approve that CMAQ continue work on this project and also on the Hawks. I'd like to include on the Hawks project too, because I think some of this stuff overlaps a little bit. So I'm going to, I think I have to make a motion, or do we just go ahead and put it to a vote, Jill? I think we just put it to a vote, right? Because it's on the agenda.
I think we still need a motion in a second.
Okay. So would someone like to motion to approve CMAQ to go ahead and move forward on this project?
Motion to approve.
Susan, do you want a second?
Yes, I'll second. So did Steve make the motion?
Matthew made the motion.
Matthew did? Okay, thanks, Matthew.
Are there any, it's the easiest way to do this. Are there any members that are not in agreement with this? Okay, I haven't heard any opposition. So Kyle, thank you. You and your team, please move forward with this, and we'll reconnect offline, and we will try to get you some cast members and work on that script. And I look forward to seeing it. Hopefully, you said by end of April, end of May, early May.
Early May, yes.
Early May. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kyle. Have a great evening.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. See ya.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to jump back over to member reports. Let's see, the next one after Phil's was Matthew's. Matthew, go ahead.
Okay, so, okay, wait, to clarify, this member report, not the item I have on the agenda.
We can start with the item, and then you can go ahead on to other members, other stuff you want to bring up too, but let's start with the item, or would you rather start with other stuff?
Other stuff.
Okay. You want to
okay, fine.
Go ahead.
So, so past month, definitely, I very much enjoy the recent bike ride I took with Gene and some other people outside BPAC into West Fresno. One thing that did concern me though, it was my first time crossing the 99 by bike. The Ashland overpass, the high-speed rail built, it was a little steep, but not as bad as I thought it would be. The main concern that I had was the 99 bridge that currently on Ashland that lets you cross 99. The bike lane literally disappears right when you're going over that. And I hope that gets addressed at some point. Good, my gosh. In the meantime, there has been consistently a continuing number of fatal collisions, particularly it seems lately with cars driving away from fleeing police. There was one in my area around Bullard and West. It's one driver, but hit a couple vehicles. And then most recently there was one last week, I believe, Cedar and McKinley that killed 3 people. And which is kind of what brings me to this item I have on the agenda, where essentially it's joining groups like the Saves Lives Coalition, which includes the Vision Zero Network, and calling on President Biden to provide more funding to reduce traffic fatalities, as well as like asking his administration to commit to reducing roadway fatalities to 0 by 2050. While Fresno itself doesn't have a Vision Zero program yet, I believe that this is a good step for BPAC to take. Essentially, shows where we stand on the issue. And of course, this gets put on a letter to the president. The letter's on the agenda. I believe I can share my screen if I wish.
Sure,
Okay.
if you'd like to go right ahead. But yes, it should have, if for members, it was attached, well, and for public, it was attached to the agenda if you wanted to have a copy for yourself.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Couple hundred organizations are on here, including individuals. I signed in as an individual already, but BPAC's name would be on here somewhere, assuming we're on the Bs. And if we wish, we can also ask probably city council to sign on to this if they so wish. Any comments, thoughts?
I did have some comments I wanted to share, and they've come up before when we've talked about Vision Zero. When I started coming to BPAC before I was a member, we had a presentation from CalWalks that talked about Vision Zero. And while it is a great program, there were still some concerns with it, why certain cities were not adopting it, specifically in regards to how they disproportionately affected our minority communities. And so I wanted to just get more information about Vision Zero so we can all make sure we're making an informed decision. Because as you yourself said, Matthew, we all voted for the zero fare, but in retrospect, maybe we needed to think about it a little bit more before we made our decisions. I'm still supportive of it, but there were comments that I heard during the city council meeting that I hadn't thought about either. So I think in honor of that, or in regards to that, I'd like to make sure that we have all of the knowledge that we need before we vote for Vision Zero. I'd like to hear about what improvements or what things have been considered in regards to the criticism of Vision Zero. So I had requested, I can't remember, it's been a while, that someone come and give us a formal presentation on Vision Zero to BPAC so we can all make that informed vote to support Vision Zero, but I don't know that we ever followed up on it. So I'd like to make that.
To be clear, I've asked Joe Martinez to get some people from CalWalks to get a presentation out here.
Great.
That's coming at the April meeting, last time I heard. So
okay.
So that's upcoming. So
I would ask if we can defer to voting on this specific letter until we've had the Vision Zero presentation. That would be my request. Because again, there were some criticism of Vision Zero, and I just want to make sure those things are addressed before we vote on a policy that's going to disproportionately affect our poorer communities.
Okay, to be specific, it's about whether or not investment is not being prioritized in communities of color, or?
No, that some of the policies of Vision Zero disproportionately, so people were not being educated equally. And so some people were not aware of the new Vision Zero policies. So they were being unfairly targeted and cited because they weren't aware of the Vision Zero policies. And so it does speak to our education and outreach. And so what is the capacity for our community to do that, to ensure that people aren't being punished as a result of this Vision Zero, policy that we want to put in place? Does that make sense? Is that clear? Am I not clear?
That's clear. That's
okay.
Clear.
So and this was a criticism that even CalWorks had for Vision Zero, but not to say that it can't be mitigated, it can, but I just want to make sure that before we as a committee are saying, yes, let's get this policy in place because it's this great policy. Well, I personally, while I'm familiar with it, I'm not well versed, and I want to be well versed before I make that decision for the city of Fresno. So that's my 2 cents. Those are my comments in regards to Vision Zero. I would like to see investment in this. Obviously, we have issues with traffic fatalities. We have pedestrian and bike fatalities in the city of Fresno that we should not be having. So we do need to do something. Is Vision Zero the answer? I don't know yet. I don't know if that's the policy that we want for our city yet. I'm not convinced of that just yet. I just want to get some more information before we make that decision.
Okay. Understood. Anyone else want to comment?
Matthew, could I ask you a question?
Yes, Gene.
in a few words or less, what's the intent of the letter? Spend more money?
It's around those lines. It's a call to the Biden administration to shift policy in a certain direction, and presumably coming out of this, it's possible there could be funding for cities who have a Vision Zero program in place. And in my mind, that would be good for Fresno long term, to just have some more money to spend. And yeah.
My question is this letter seems that like it's too broadly addressed. Like, why wouldn't we want to send this letter? Why didn't these other organizations send this letter straight to the Department of Transportation secretary? Like, this is something that, like, if you're going to try to get somebody's attention on, I would say, like, maybe we should think about readdressing the letter to Secretary Buttigieg on this, because I know that he has talked about Vision Zero in his platform as well. And Vision Zero, I know, is something that will be coming up on this committee as soon as we drive home a few things soon. I know that's probably going to be one of the next things we're going to tackle. But it just seems like maybe if we're going to write a letter, let's narrow it down a little bit here and send it to the Secretary of Transportation there, or the Department of Transportation.
I'll say I can't speak for why the 4 organizations here the coalition of them didn't target it to the Department of Transportation rather than. I know that President Biden specifically, he particularly was in the past he was a victim of traffic violence when his children and his wife were killed. But I can't speak to that, to their reasoning for signing it directly to him. But anyway, anyone else want to comment? Or
my question is, how do we even know what Biden's policy is going to be? He hasn't been in office very long to really set policy per se.
I think the letter, again, is just asking him to commit to doing, some work in this area, which again, I'm not necessarily opposed to, but again, I just don't know I'm not 100% on board with Vision Zero. I'm like 80% there, but I just want to make sure I feel comfortable with Vision Zero.
I think it's obviously it's symbolic, right? I mean, is he going to get it or is he not going to get it? I mean, personally, I don't think it hurts just putting your name on it. I mean, Vision Zero, we haven't implemented on it. We could ask for the funds to help us implement it if we do it at all, if it's something that we decide that we want to push for. So I don't see any harm in putting a name on it. I mean, it's not like a popular policy or method or anything like that.
Right. Okay. So I'm definitely hearing a lot about Vision Zero in everybody's comments, but I'm hoping to start a subcommittee pretty much like within the next few weeks or so, just to look at all this. I mean, and to like get some questions answered for everybody here. On top of like the presentation, I've got that'll happen in about a month in front of BPAC. But for this specific thing, just to be clear, I mean, this is just literally having someone from BPAC sign this letter on our organization's behalf, because I kind of already signed it on my own already anyway. But if anyone, I see Nick Palladino has his hand up in the.
Well, yeah. Melanie's. Okay. I'm gonna let Melanie do it.
So I just want to make sure there's no more member comments. If there's no more member comments.
Okay, let me just say something before Nick comes in. I would just say Matt's put in the work on this. I appreciate what he's done, so I would support him. If he wanted to move this tonight, I would say yes. If you think it will pass, I say yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jean. Let's go ahead and take comments from the public. Let's start with Nick Palladino, if we can unmute Nick. Go ahead, Nick. Oh, wait, you're still muted, sorry. Does Nick have to unmute himself, or do we have to unmute
That
him?
is correct. They have to unmute themselves.
Nick, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My first reaction when I read the letter had to do with the propriety of BPAC as an advisory committee to the city of Fresno, sending a letter straight to the President of the United States. That's the fact that crossed my mind. I saw a lot of, I looked through the list of people who signed on to this thing. And I saw a lot of mayors and city councils and a lot of simply cities. And I always regarded the BPAC as an advisory committee to the city of Fresno. Now, a lot of times, of course, the city of Fresno comes to BPAC and asks the BPAC to write a letter of support, which we do because the city of Fresno asked us to. But in this case here, the city of Fresno has not asked us to write a letter to the President of the United States or even to the Secretary of Transportation. And so when I read the letter, I says, this may be stepping outside the bounds of an advisory committee to the city of Fresno, asking, the president to take a policy position. I do not know whether or not that would be in accord with what the policy position is of the city of Fresno. Now, I would say what the BPAC could do would be to ask the mayor or the city council to write such a letter to the Secretary of Transportation or the President of the United States to do that. But I don't think it's appropriate for BPAC to do, to write a letter directly to the President of the United States or the Secretary of Transportation. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Nick. That's an excellent point. Tony, can we unmute Anthony Molina?
Yes, thank you. I would echo Nick's, comment about. I think it would be, useful if this came, from the city and the mayor. I would think as an advisory committee, it would be up to BPAC to decide, among itself if they were to recommend it to the city. So I think Melanie's comments are well taken about, it's good. I think it's important to, for BPAC to, do the homework to, be informed about, what is, involved with the programs that are, mentioned here. But I would point out that the letter is sponsored by organizations, and they're not necessarily, proposing that Vision Zero itself, but what they're, if you read the letter, it says it's basically, encouraging action be taken to prioritize safety, including adopting a safe system approach, which includes Vision Zero, but other similar, approaches. Vision Zero is not the only approach, but they're very similar in that they all kind of try to, take a safe system approach, which is part of what was being done with the SSARP, the Safe Systems report that we should, probably be, engaging with what that has to tell us about Fresno. But I would, I think what it is trying to raise the issue of prioritizing safety to, the highest office in the land. And I think, the idea that they all kind of share the idea of, trying to achieve zero traffic deaths, which I don't think should be all that controversial. How we get there is, like I say, it's all included in a safe systems approach. So I think that they've deliberately written it broadly so that it would be fairly non-controversial, as witnessed, by some of the organizations that have signed on to this if you look at, the AARP, LA, mayors and the departments of transportation, AASHTO is on here. So I think that there's pretty wide agreement. Cal Walks, by the way, Melanie, if their issue with that, they are in support of this. I would point that out. So if you look at the American Trucking Association, so I mean, it's pretty, like I say, I think the whole point is to try to elevate, traffic safety, and how we get there. Certainly, we would like the president, who's actually, interestingly, if you're aware, suffered, the loss of his wife his first wife anyway, in a traffic. So the thought is to try to elevate safety at the national level and get everybody on board to try to devote resources. So I think this is kind of a no-brainer for the city of Fresno, because this basically is asking for more money to accomplish the ends of improving traffic safety. So I would encourage us to maybe forward this to the city and city council and if you support traffic safety, here's a chance to speak out and advise our elected officials that we support getting more money for the city of Fresno for traffic safety. So thanks.
Thank you, Tony. And I think Laura Gromas wanted to make a comment as well. If we can unmute Laura. Laura, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes. Did it work now?
Yes, there
Hi.
you are.
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, I wanted to commend Matthew for taking this on. I think we're all reading the newspaper and seeing that there's a lot of fatalities and a lot of crashes, and it's really an important issue that needs to be taken on. And I think BPAC would be a great committee to discuss Vision Zero and what that could mean for the city of Fresno. I think Nick's and Tony's comments are very valid. So there might be room for a discussion whom to ask from the city to sign this letter, whether it be council members or even public works, as those that are in charge of ensuring that we're having safe streets. And I was also curious what the public works employees are thinking about Vision Zero. We've heard a lot about the committee members, and I was wondering if that has been discussed within public works before. And yeah, what kind of the ideas on this are. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I don't know if we want to open up a discussion right now for Vision Zero. I think since Matthew has that coming next month, unless Department of Public Works staff want to respond to that now. But I would want to just put that all together on the next agenda all at the same time. But I think because this is on the agenda, this does go to vote. Correct, Phil? Okay, Phil's nodding yes. Okay, so I think if there's no more comments from members or from the public, we need a motion to, Matthew, I'm assuming you want us to sign on this letter, but I think there's a question as to whether we can even do that.
I'm recognizing that right now.
Okay, okay.
I mean, as far as I can see, the item on the agenda doesn't specify who is actually signing it. So, but it was to a vote and not to recommend to council. So in this case, this would be, I would assume.
I mean, it would just go straight forward, just as it is. We're voting to endorse the letter to President Biden. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
But can we as a committee do that? I mean, I guess we can.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we can. I mean, it's like a letter of support, and we voted on letters of support before, and then I sign it, and that's it.
But I feel like it would be more impactful if we can get like the city of Fresno to sign on.
Agreed.
this.
But I mean, we can make that as a separate item to recommend.
Can we motion to request from Mayor Dyer and the city council to sign off on this?
I think
Can
what we could do is we could say to, I think what we could do is, we still have to vote on it though, because it's already on the agenda,
Okay.
so we still have to vote on it. I mean, that's it.
But-
We can come up with another time, but.
But are we voting for BPAC to sign on, or I would rather change it to say, can we vote on asking Mayor Dyer and City Council to have City of Fresno sign on to this?
Yes.
I think if it came from both of us, it would even be more impactful if it came
Okay.
from us. And then if it came from if we say BPAC says we endorse it, how about you guys? It's kind of like the Vision Zero thing, right? Or not the Vision Zero, the fair thing. We voted to support the transit fare, the zero fare, and then the council voted for zero fare as well. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a double thing.
So first of all, we should start with voting for BPAC to support this. So that's the first thing I think on someone needs to motion that.
Motion
Anyone
to
want?
vote.
Okay, so Matthew's going to motion for BPAC to sign off on this, correct, Matthew?
Correct.
Okay. A second?
Second.
Okay, Jean seconds. Are there any negatives? And I'll go ahead, I'm gonna go on record and say, I'm gonna say no for now, just because I still have my hesitations about Vision Zero. And Tony, I did hear your comments, and yes, I think you're right, but I'm just gonna go on record for that.
You're the chair. You don't get the vote.
Oh, I don't get to vote?
Not as a chair, you do the tiebreaker.
Oh, okay, well then take that off, Susan. Strike it.
I already wrote it.
I vote nay. I don't think it's appropriate for us to do it alone. I think it needs to be a citywide thing. I think that's jumping the chain of command a bit.
So Steve, just to be clear, you would be okay asking City of Fresno to sign off on this?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Any other nays besides Stephen? And only Stephen, not me? Okay,
For the
and
vote.
so everyone else is a yes, okay.
Wait, does Jean want a roll call vote?
Oh, do you want a roll call vote, Gene?
Yes, let's vote on it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the way we vote on it with Zoom, it's easier to say who is against it. And then so
Okay.
it's just Steve right now. So
Okay.
that means everyone else, if you haven't said
Okay.
you're against it, everyone else is for it.
Okay, good, thanks.
So it does pass. So it passes. So BPAC, I guess, can sign off on this. But I would think, Matthew, you should take it to the next level and request City of Fresno to sign off on this. That would be more impactful.
That will be done.
Thanks,
Right.
Matt.
So that's done for this. Okay, so member reports, I'm just gonna go in the order on my screen because that's easier. Steve, do you have any member reports you'd like to give?
Not at this time. Michael's working on refining that logo that we had. She's still working on that. Other than that, I don't have anything to add at this time.
If she gets it done, we can add it to the PSA.
Yeah, she's worried that adding the pedestrian in there is just going to be too busy, and she doesn't know if she can fit it in. But she's going to look at it some more.
Okay, great, thank you. Susan, do you have any member reports?
I have the report of our meeting with the council people.
Great, go right ahead.
Okay, so Melanie, Phil, and I met with council members Soria, Arias, and Maxwell. They're the budget subcommittee to propose adding the ATP or bicycle pedestrian coordinator. Phil provided an overview of the job qualifications, the job duties, the education that we wish the person to have, kind of a ballpark. What do you get when you work a job? You know, you're
The salary?
Yes, a salary. So then we also provided current statistics, you know, with pedestrian and bicycle fatalities. which they're all three, pretty aware that Fresno is a dangerous town. We talked about, being stuck at the bronze level as far as being a bicycle friendly city, and that we really can't go forward unless there's some sort of change, and possibly hiring an ATP coordinator would allow us to kind of get that change to be able to go up further, like to, gold or platinum. So they were provided a list of cities that have ATP positions. Many cities, much smaller than Fresno, have those positions already. We emphasized wanting someone with expertise to come to Fresno because we do have over 500,000 people here. It was a good give and take. They did have some things that they asked for. Tyler Maxwell wants to have 10 years worth of data regarding pedestrian and bicycle collisions and fatalities. And actually, Tyler did specifically mention Vision Zero, that he's heard of that before. And Soria also mentioned the Vision Zero. Actually, Council Member Soria directed Maxwell to send the mayor an email in support of the position. She said she's been supportive for the last 3 years and has asked before about, why this position hasn't been funded. Arias, he specifically mentioned that the BPAC needs to reach out to the mayor and possibly have a member on the interview panel. And he said the position, it should be funded for 3 years, but that we needed to be clear about the outcomes of the position for the next 3 years, to be clear about the goals. And then Melanie specifically asked about if hiring a grant writer, in this position, that might be best because they would be able to help sustain the position for longer than 3 years. Going back to the Vision Zero, I guess the mayor had been at a vigil the night before for the woman that was killed on Elm Avenue. And Mayor Dyer said, was kind of like, wow, this happens a lot in Fresno. What can be done about this one specific intersection? And Arias, said, this intersection, I have lots of others in my district that are worse. And so, the 3 council people that we talked with were very on board with this. So.
And Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, they all 3 seemed, well, at least Soria and Arias seemed to indicate that the position was already approved and they told Tyler he needed to follow up on that.
Right. That's the impression that I got, that it was approved for the next 3 years. And that's kind of how that came about, like with you talking about it.
That was I think that was the big takeaway from the meeting, is that this position is already approved. The ATP coordinator is already done, because it was helped with the COVID relief money. But they had it, I think they had it already. Soria said that they already had it funded in, was it the end of last year? But
she said October, the October meeting.
October, they already had it. So she said it's just up to the mayor's office and HR to create the position and actually hire the person to do it. So it's already there. We gotta get on them to actually hire the position, and we're gonna ask that they do that, and that BPAC, a member of BPAC or members of BPAC are on the hiring committee for this position. So it's there, it's done. The money's there. We just have to hire someone now, and that's the takeaway that I got out of it.
Yeah, I did too.
Could I just add a little bit? I was talking to Terry Cox, Chief of Staff of Soria, and after talking to Melanie about this, it doesn't seem that it's actually approved in the sense of it being able to move forward and hire. Terry said that she thought it had broad approval with the council, but it was up to the mayor to bring it forward in his budget so the council could approve it or, pick out line items that they approve or don't approve. I want to thank the 3 people that went to the Transportation Committee. That's really great. But the devil is super in the details. So the position needs to be spelled out, similar to what you've all been looking at. The duties and responsibilities of the position need to be spelled out. Jill Gormley's already said that it would not be an engineer, which is a hopeful sign, more along the lines of what Shelby McNabb does, but direct communication with BPAC. Basically, BPAC's communication with the city staff, among many other liaison activities.
Yeah, we definitely presented that
It's time
in the
for us to
meeting.
go to our council and the mayor with this and say, get on board.
Yeah, and I think, I guess my thing's up. We definitely, we gave the overview of the position, everything like that. And I think Councilmember Maxwell is going to be the person who, because I think he's the chair of the subcommittee that we went to. So he said he was going to be going to the mayor specifically as well. Didn't he, Melanie and Susan? I don't remember. He said he's going to follow with the mayor, right, as well?
Soria and Arias told him to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I think this thing happens this year. I think it can happen this year. They got to keep, we got to keep on Tyler. We got to keep on the mayor. But it's there. I mean, apparently, like Miguel said, the money's there for the next 3 years. And we have to make sure that there's a goal at the end. And I think Susan came up with a really good argument in the meeting about what the goal is at the very end. And so I think it was very productive, and I think it's going to happen.
Any other comments for Susan's report? Yes, Steve. Oh, he's crossing his fingers.
My fingers.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Crossing his fingers. Anybody else? Okay, Matthew gave his report. Who's next? Andrew. Phil, do you have any member? Oh, you gave yours already. Jean, do you have a member report?
Very briefly, I want to present a couple of articles concerning bicycle safety and facilities. If I bring it up on my screen and say share, will that work?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay, so I'm going to click on share. Yeah, I didn't take Jill's advice, so I got so much open. So
yeah, you have to know which window you want to share.
Okay, can you see this?
Nothing has come up yet.
A view from the psychopath?
Yes, that's there.
You got it. You're good.
Okay, so this is a little bit old. It's 2008. You can tell by the spelling of curb that it's from England. They're recommending what they call angle forgiving curbs. And you can see a picture of one right here. So that I think we have to be careful with raised, how can I say, raised items delineating cycle tracks. So this is one idea. I'm not going to show the video. Anybody who's would be welcome to ask me to share this with you. It shows the bike going up and over the curb easily without having an accident. Here's an example. Here's the raised curb right here. Normal curb on this side. One over here. 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 And not this. They're saying this is way too obstructive. The raised angle curbs are 30 degrees with about just a few centimeters of rise, just enough to keep water off the sidewalk, but not enough to hurt a cyclist. So I recommend you take a look at that. And how do I go back to sharing something else?
You should probably stop sharing and
Okay.
then share again and then pick the new window that you want to share.
So here's new share. How's that?
Oh, try that.
Okay, here we go.
This is still forgiving curbs.
Okay, this is the one I want to share. Nope. Try one click. Nope.
Is it an article on that same tab line or no? Is
Yeah.
it different?
Yeah.
I always find my best bet to stop sharing and then reshare the new window.
Okay.
This
How
one?
to stop? How to stop
There you
sharing?
go. Is that it right there?
North Coast Current. Cyclist question safety of new Encinitas bike lane design.
I can't see it now.
Is that the one that you want to see? Is that the one that you want us to see?
North Coast Current. Yes.
Yes. We can see that.
Okay, good. Okay, great. This is this year. This is down in Encinitas. This is something I brought up with Public Works. Well, that's not a very good picture. Here's a raised barrier. I stress that I'm really open to a lot of designs with cycle tracks, but absolutely positively no raised curbs. Here it's along a parked car, so this is not such a big deal. Here, not so much. If they've already mentioned that people have knocked into these accidentally and spilled out into the traffic lane, super, super dangerous. Here, parked cars, not a big deal. And that's it. So I'm hoping, I don't know, does Public Works, does BPAC need to say this in a different way? Absolutely no raised curbs along cycle tracks.
Is that the plan? Is that what was in our plan for raised curbs on the cycle track?
No, not to my knowledge. On there.
Well, I mean, again, we don't create the legislation, though. I mean, that's up to Public Works. They can take in our recommendation, but I mean, we can't force them to do something, you know.
Absolutely, we should stress that Public Works do not use raised barriers.
There you go, Gene. You just
raised
did
curbs. And I'd like to hear from Public Works.
I mean, can you share?
I don't think there was any planned with this. I think they're using the vertical cylindrical delineators is how it was being used.
That's what I thought too.
Is there something going up that you're worried about, Gene, anytime soon, or is it just you're kind of just recommending that they just okay? Well,
I just don't want to see it because we can see what's happened elsewhere. We don't need to reinvent the accident. So
can you share these articles with Susan so she can put them in the minutes, please? Like just the link.
The link, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
I mean,
I don't think I think it's appropriate that Public Works speak up.
I mean, but they're not doing a project that, I mean, is that what you're saying? Like, is there something going up that you're worried about?
No, I'm just worried about the future. And it'd be nice to have buy-in.
I think that if we put this on the record that we recommend to not use raised raised barriers, that would be good. And then if a project does come up and they happen to be on that project, that we can cite these minutes in this meeting saying we made this recommendation not to use those barriers. Does that work for you, Gene?
Yeah. How do I do that?
We're doing that now.
Yeah, it'll be on the minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this meeting's all being recorded, so
okay.
It's all on document. So there we go.
Great, thanks.
Awesome.
Real quick, everybody. This is Scott. Just because I like to talk, and I haven't had a chance. To Gene's point, we are not proposing to use vertical curbs like what he's showing. Our standards and all of our existing, the Maple cycle track, all the projects we have in design now are using a flexible post delineator. And if you don't mind, I will share. Gene has to unshare, but
Gene, you need to
how do I
stop
do
sharing.
that?
Just stop sharing. There you go.
Thank you.
Quick. This is. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So it's like this. They're plastic pontoons that are either bolted or epoxy down. This is the actual brand we use. It's called Impact Recovery that we're specifying. The colors are a little different, but it's a small, low profile polypropylene curb, if you will. That is
Awesome.
not a vertical curb, not what Gene's talking about, a wheel stop. We wouldn't use those in a street just because of the potential damage they could do to a vehicle and the ensuing accident that it could cause if somebody hit it.
Awesome. So it sounds like we're already all on the same page. That's great.
Right.
Thank you,
How high
Scott.
is that, Scott?
Say again?
How high is that little?
I think
raised-
the delineator is 42 inches, I want to say.
And the little bump on the road?
Oh, the base?
Yes.
Let me see. Do they have a? It's probably no more than 3 or 4 inches. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the dimensions of it, but it's not a 6-inch curb.
Plus it's rounded, so you should be able to roll over it rather easily.
Yeah, I mean, this is another view of it down here. So, I mean, they're made specifically for, these are made for bike lanes. This isn't like a vehicle deterrent or a vehicle marker that we're using in this capacity. These are actually made for bike lanes.
Is the city committed to these on Palm and Belmont?
Yeah, these are our standard. They're in our new Addendum 7 that was released.
Looks relatively benign.
Yeah.
That's good, right?
So.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
You got
Gene,
it.
do you have anything else you'd like to report during your time?
No, that's it for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Gene. Lucio, do you have any member report you'd like to give?
Nope.
Thanks, Lucio. I do have just a few things, but I know we're short on time, so I'll be really fast. I had circled back with Matthew, but I wanted to follow up with the group on the letter to the County of Fresno to continue that cycle track through Palm between Dakota and Shaw, right? So me and Steve White are like besties now. As soon as he found out I worked for the county health department, he said, we're county family. So he called me himself and he had a long conversation with me about how they're only going to do the striped lane and that's all they're going to do for now because Brandel is listening to his constituents and they are not interested in having a road diet. So unfortunately, they're not going to change it at this point. Could Matthew still send a letter? Absolutely. Could BPAC send a letter? Sure. But at this point, they're just going to stick it in a file. So again, we can take that back, Matthew, if you want to put it to a vote again, if we want to send a letter to County of Fresno, we could do that. The good news out of this, though, was that Steve White gave me a bunch of information about other stuff that they're going to be doing. He talked about something on Shepherd that they're doing. I was scribbling really fast, so I wrote it down really fast. Between Fowler and Sunnyside, they're going to do some kind of, what is it? Is it another bike lane? They're going to extend some trails along the canal. And
that would be a good spot. That's a very dangerous spot. I've ridden there all the time.
When he was explaining to me, I was actually kind of excited about it, but again, I was scribbling really fast and he was talking, he's a fast talker. And then he also connected me with another analyst at the county who sent me the county's trail plan. And so what I would like to do is I want to email that to all the members and then maybe we can put the link in the minutes too, if that's okay. So anyone can access it. It's open to the public, but he wanted to make sure that we knew about that and had access to it and talks about all the different trails throughout the county, but obviously some are in city of Fresno. So if we want any information that is county based, then, let me know. I'll reach out to Steve. And so that was kind of a good connection to make. I also mentioned to him that the director of the health department is an avid cyclist. And so we are obviously really interested in these things. And he took that to heart.
I think with your connection there, maybe we should have like one time a year county come and talk to us.
That would be nice. We can certainly invite them to come and make a presentation on current county projects within the city.
I think that would be really, helpful.
So there was that update. There was that update.
Melanie, quick question.
Yes.
Did you say they were going to restripe Palm between the railroad tracks and Shaw?
Yes, they're going to restripe it, but right now they're still waiting on. They need concurrence. Maybe city staff knows what that means. They're trying to get concurrence, but they're going to do the plan for now. Class 2 on each side of Palm. They're also going to upgrade the signal right at Ashland. They said that signal's, there's been a lot of accidents there. So they're going to do is upgraded signal or do something to the signal there.
Yeah, the street narrows at Ashland so that if you had a bike lane, you would lose it right there.
So yeah, they're going to do something there with the signal. Then there's going to be a bike lane on both sides of Palm is what they said.
Okay,
That's
you're
what
going to have to
Steve
take out
told me.
street parking.
And so I think that's what they're waiting on. I think they're waiting on that street parking stuff, and then they're going to go ahead and do that. But that is the plan. And you know, I know this meeting is being recorded, so I have to be really careful. But as a county employee, you know, going to County Board of Soups it can be challenging. Brando is listening to his constituents. They're worried about if a road diet happens. And some of you were on that initial call, that city, you know, that open comment thing. If the road diet happens, that it would have increased traffic through Fig Garden, through Old Fig. And so that's why the people living there are not supportive of continuing on that cycle track. The good news is that doesn't mean it can never happen in the future, right? So we can just keep pressing on this when it comes up again, or when the supervisor changes, or, you know, unfortunately, if something terrible happens, we can advocate for continuing on that cycle track through that area.
I think having county come in once a year, maybe twice a year, helps us out, listening to what they're up to.
Yeah,
I don't think this is coming from Steve White. I've talked to him.
No, it's not.
I think it's the politician here, and
it absolutely
he'll go
is.
unmentioned, but we all know he's an obstructionist of, in my opinion, the worst kind. So,
well, again, he's
right,
listening
but
to
a
his
lot of his
constituents.
constituents were against it in that meeting.
They
very
were
vocal against it.
And even in that meeting, there was lots of cycle advocates that were for it. But even then, those cycle advocates don't live in that area. And Supervisor Brando was only really interested in hearing what those people had to say. So if you know people who live in Old Fig that are supportive, you know, get them on board, have them write letters and call Steve Brando. And I think that would be better than anything that we sent to him. So if there's no other questions or comments from me, I'll end my member report.
Did we go over the task force reports? Because we have, I think Jill requested that we create the two this month.
Okay.
For budget and the semi-annual report.
Yeah, I skipped over that. Sorry, I went straight to member reports, but I'm done with member reports. So I think I'm just going to hand it back to you, Phil. You can finish chairing, so you can take it away with task force report.
Just because I know that Jill had asked us to do that here soon. It is the end of March, and budget meetings are coming up if they haven't already started, and we want to make sure that we can get all our budget stuff in by September, right, Jill? And that would be like that's the goal. Our request in by September.
I would like it by July or June 30th.
Okay, so if we are interested in taking a more proactive role in our budget, and rather than waiting until the last minute, we need to create a task force for that for the next 3 months, basically. Who is interested? Let's just make it happen. We'll create it. It'll go from basically now until the end of June, and yeah. So who's interested on being on that committee? I'll be on it because I like budget and finance stuff, so I don't mind.
Specifically, what is this?
So this is how to use our safety funds every year.
Oh, okay.
So just like what you guys voted on earlier about CMAC and all that stuff, but they would like, rather than waiting until the last minute, like now, we try to plan out for the rest of the fiscal year, which would be the 21-22 fiscal year, and try to see how much we can get funded and they can get approved by a certain time, and we can get it to them so they can get it go over there. So I don't mind being on it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyone else want to join me?
I do, but I don't have time. So just keep me looped in, please.
I'll join you, Phil.
All right, Steven, we got it. Anyone else have any plans for any of the budget, or would like to talk about what we're going to be doing with our budget in the next fiscal year?
I'll just say that I wish I could join that, but I barely have the time to. I mean, I brought up Vision Zero earlier, and
Sure.
Even then I found out that my part-time job is going to be extended through May, which is good because I get paid. But then again, it's like I don't have as much time as I would like for.
Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Can I go on record to say that I would like to revisit the pedestrian sting with that money, because Mayor Dyer expressed not interest but support for a pedestrian sting. So I was hoping that we can earmark some of that money for a potential pedestrian sting.
We will take all recommendations, any and all recommendations by members about the money. Anyone else from this committee want to get on board with me or Steve on that one? And that's fine. I think we can do 2. I think 2 is all right anyway. So, all right. So that's the one created. We got to do another semi-annual report. I think, who was on the last one, Susan? It was you, me, Tony, and who else? Do you remember if there was a 4th one or a 3rd one? Or a 4th one? I think it should be. I think we should rotate. I think there should be at least 2 or 3 more on the semi-annual report, other than myself and Susan and Tony.
Was this the same one that we were going to do for bylaws, or was that a second?
That's a separate.
That's a different. Okay.
We'll probably get to that at some time. We got to create. Let's create these 2 right now, and we're going to try to get that to council when? June or July, Jill? What do you think?
Well, it depends on how fast we could get going on it.
I mean, technically, we delivered the last one in November, so we would have to get it by May, which is not going to happen.
No.
So I would say June, July at the latest.
So June is budget stuff.
Okay.
I mean, we can try for June if you want to do July 15th.
There you go.
I have to have everything probably the 1st of June.
Okay. So that gives us about 2 months. It's not a hard process. It really isn't. We did the template. We'll give you the template from last time. It's just a lot of updating of numbers and stuff like that. Create the draft, share it with us, and then we'll vote on the final one. And then, the committee will, or the subcommittee that we create, or the task force will deliver it to council. So again, I think it should be anyone other than myself, Susan, and Tony.
Well, and I'll provide the statistics because so
Susan will help out there in that part. So anyone else? Again, it's not a hard process. Super simple.
I'm going to save myself for the charter/bylaws task force committee.
Well, that might not be for a little bit, but maybe like in May or something like that. But yeah.
Anyway, I'm saving myself.
Okay.
Okay. Quick question. Since you are doing your task force, your 2 task forces are being put together right now. Is this an okay time for me to just say I'm open to having the Vision Zero task force start right now, and anyone to jump on if?
The thing, we just don't want to. We don't want to cut everyone thin, and these things have to be done. Okay. Vision Zero, like once we're done with one, we can create another one. It's just.
Can we?
A lot of us don't have a lot of time.
Because you're doing the presentation next month, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
We'd like to, right?
So if you do the presentation in April, I think we should create the committee after that once we have more information, right?
That's a good one. Or we can create the Vision Zero task force, and then the committee, and then the task force creates the presentation. We could do it that way as well. But if we want to hear the presentation from CalWalks, I'm assuming.
I mean, they would be doing the presentation.
Then we can put one together after it, and then we can make it happen. But again, I don't want to cut everybody too thin. Having 2 already is cutting everyone thin. We can start another one in like April, or I'm sorry, like May. We can do that one. Go ahead, Susan.
Well, if it's all right, if I just use the last draft report as a template.
Susan, look, I'm just saying.
I can fill in, to do this.
I'm just saying I'd like someone other than us, but if we need to do it again, Susan, that's fine. If you want to be on the SAR, on the report committee, that's fine.
That
might be easy.
I'll just copy what I did the last time and maybe we
This is
can
the
add
easiest
something
thing.
to it.
Let's add one more, so we get one more person
Add
on the
one
task
more.
force. Yeah, let's have
Oh.
one more person.
Oh, I thought you wanted to add one more thing to the.
No, I was saying let's add one more person to your task force, because again, it's not going to be difficult. So who's willing to help Susan out just for a couple of months here?
Well, I can send out an email and everybody can.
I can try. I can do it.
All right, Stephen. That sounds good. Thank you for stepping
there
up.
you
Appreciate
go.
it.
Unless you can get all of Fresno County vaccinated in the next few weeks, I'm not going to be any good to you.
All right, so we're good to go for those two committees. So and we'll start thinking about, yes, we got to create the other committees as well, but let's get these knocked out of the way, and then we'll start working on our other things as well. Go ahead, Matthew.
For Vision Zero, there could only be at least one member for it to be a BPAC task force, right? Or not?
Correct. There has to be one. Yeah.
I could be the only BPAC member, just I'm not pulling anyone off of anything else.
Well, no, because we don't want it, because task force are finite. There's like a limited time. So let's wait until you actually have to do something as far as any reporting. So, and then our voting on it as well. So it'll probably come after our semi-annual report, or even that month. It'll come that month. So I just don't want to have to recreate it later.
And Matthew, I think there has to be at least one BPAC member, not only one BPAC member.
Yeah, not only one. There has to be at least one, Matthew. So
okay then.
So, and it could be it could be anyone from the the public as well, if any of that.
Yeah.
So, we can create that.
What they're saying is you can't be a committee of one.
Yeah, that's not a committee.
I know that. I mean, yeah. I know.
So, okay, we got the two. So do we even have Officer Belli here? I don't even see his name. Is he on the phone?
He might be the call-in.
He might be on the call-in. Okay, he's on the call-in. All right.
Are we ready?
I think so.
Yes, task force are created, done. Let's go on to the PD report here.
Wait, there we go. You have to unmute. Is it *6 or?
Can anyone unmute him?
Oh,
there he goes. There he goes.
It required a *6, yes.
Yay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So for February, our numbers regarding pedestrian collisions, we had a total of 19 for February of 2021. Bicycles, we had 3 collisions. We had 2 fatalities since the last meeting. Both of them were pedestrians that occurred at night. One, someone mentioned earlier in the meeting, the Elman Grove collision with the female crossing the roadway. She was on the sidewalk and then entered the roadway westbound across Elm, and there was a vehicle approaching. There may be some speed involved in this with that vehicle. It was a hit and run, so it's still under investigation. The pedestrian was outside the crosswalk, where it was impacted by the driver who was northbound. It was a well-lit area, even though the pedestrian was outside the crosswalk, but it does look like the speed is going to be involved on the part of the vehicle for the primary collision factor. The latest one we had since the last meeting was actually last night at 8:30 p.m. That was the Belmont and Calaveras east. It was east of Calaveras. It was a male pedestrian walking southbound across Belmont, just east of Calaveras, and the driver was westbound, struck the pedestrian. That driver did stay on scene. There was a preliminary investigation as far as toxicology on the pedestrian, and they showed that they were over 4 times the legal limit that would pertain to a driver as far as blood alcohol level. The person that was the pedestrian appeared to be homeless, and again, that's still under further investigation. There were no cyclists recorded at this time for fatalities since our last meeting. And that's all I have to report on that so far.
I do
Anyone
have
have any questions?
Well, I do have a question, Officer Belli, on would you be able to provide statistics for the last 2 years that we could forward to Councilman Maxwell, or would we get those from the city or someone else from FPD?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit on there. I know you're talking about some documents to provide to Councilman Maxwell or the City Council.
Right. Who could provide the last 10 years of pedestrian and bicycle collision data?
Yeah, I can provide those numbers for the last 10 years. I don't think that would. I'm pretty sure I can go back 10 years. Yes.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah, if you can send me an email with the parameters and what the request is, and I can run that through our Crossroads collision database, and then I'll also confirm. I have to confirm with the fatal log if there's anything regarding fatalities. That will take a little bit of time. So, if you could put it together on email, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll get that to you. Thanks.
Quick question. Is it more difficult if you try to go for 20 years?
20 is going to be very difficult.
Okay, then.
10, I'm about at the max at 10 to be. As far as, well, fatalities I can do, I believe. Well, I'd have to contact our crew detectives on that for 20. 20 is going to be pretty tough. There's no guarantees on that. 10 I can say with certainty that I'm pretty sure I can get some solid numbers together for that.
Well, Maxwell, they asked for 10.
Yeah, and depending on what you're asking for, it could take a lot of time depending on what the request is.
Okay.
But whatever you need for 10, I know I can do that.
Thank you, Officer Belli, for your information there. As always, stay safe out there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, just looking at the time, I know we want to get to the project recap. Can we skip, Jill, the work plan for right now?
Yeah,
We could just add it to the. I mean, you add it to the agenda anyway, right? All the time. So if anyone wants to say anything.
Yeah, if anybody has questions on it, just let me know. I just want to remind, if you don't have your 700 form done or your RDA, do it.
That's me.
They're gonna send letters. They're gonna report you. You'll get it done.
That's me. I gotta get that done.
They're gonna hit you in the pocketbook if you wait too long.
I know. I gotta get it done.
And I think there are other ones we already discussed.
Safety funds is good. Annual report to council. We already created that task force, and the safety funds, which is the budget task force, basically. Other have. I'm assuming. Oh, Shelby is here. Shelby is here. I see her name.
But
does she want it?
To go
is she
last.
out? I'm sorry. What?
She's asking to go last.
Oh, she wants to go last. Okay. Well, we did have a couple of requests by Gene for some project updates on the work plan. So we narrowed it down to 2. If you can, yeah, we got a little bit of time here. So just the 2, would that be?
Yeah, Steve Delstead is here. Jason Miller is not able to attend. He let me know about 2 hours ago he wasn't able to attend, but he will be here. He said he can come to the April meeting, and he's the Midtown Trail guy.
Okay. So what are we? Which is the project we're doing today, or which 2 are we doing, real quick?
Steve, what did we say?
Hi, everyone. What we said is we 2 jobs very close to putting out to bid. What 2 jobs are that? One is the Hawk along Peach Avenue, and it's for the trail, McKinsey Trail. And then we have the Palm and Belmont Bikeway. It's a roughly 3.75 miles, so ballpark 4 miles. where we're going to completely convert Palm Avenue and Belmont Avenue to the best ability we can and install this bikeway. And, you know, the methods are very similar as what we all, as a team here, discussed, is going to put the linear post between the bikeways as much as we can, and then the roadway will be slightly modified. So in summary, those are the two. I mean, I did a little try to compare. It is nothing compared to what you folks did, but I just laid out what it is a sheet from the front part of our construction documents that we currently have. Construction documents are 30%, but in considering, we're calling it 30%, but it's really much farther than that, because the job is, you know, we're not going to disturb any roadway surface. All we're going to do is repaint everything to create this bikeway. Just to show, I'll do my best to show my appearance right here. If you don't mind, let me know. Do you folks see it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we can see it.
Okay, so this is what this is just a cutout of the front of the construction documents that we have pending thus far. And as you can see, this hatched area, all it represents is the limits in case we can't visualize where this at. So this is, like I said, Belmont from Palm Avenue, roughly to about Blackstone. And then we have Palm Avenue from H Street to the south all the way to Dakota, where the city county limits end and where the city limits end, where the county limits begin. We currently have team members working on it. We are taking a break because we are waiting for everyone's input on it. And when I say everyone, as we did have a community outreach meeting, we will gladly accept any input, any comments, as this will stay with us as a community, as a city, and as a county for a very long time. But in a very short amount of time, we are going to move this up and bid it out and construct it as quick as we can, because this is funded via ATP Quick Build. And as soon as we enter into our brand new fiscal year, as many jurisdictions, it's the midway of the calendar year. That's when we plan to put it out to bid and move to construction, post the awarding of the job, of course.
Quick question. When was the deadline you had set for the public input? That's later this month or beginning of April, if I recall, right?
I believe we're approaching it at the end of this month, so which is very soon. Scott, do you know offhand?
I want to say it was today, to be honest.
Today?
I think it was the 24th, but I mean, there is no hard limit to it necessarily. We just didn't want to get comments as we were moving on to 60, 90% plans. But to date, we haven't received a single comment. So I'm guessing everybody is 100% ecstatic with our design as we prepared it.
Which could happen.
Actually, I do have some feedback if I could ask Steve a question.
You sure can.
Go ahead, Gene.
Thanks for coming, Steve, and presenting this. A few points. Where the cycle track, the green paint extends across before an intersection. I don't know what you call it, bike boxes or bike pockets. I assume that's for the cyclist can migrate from the cycle track over to the left turn lane, and also to try to prevent right hooks. Is that right?
That's correct. That is one approach that we're taking. We are going to, of course, we're going to put in place a lot of the MMA, the green paint out there, and we are going to preserve a spot at all these intersections. Between this, there's roughly 12 intersections with traffic signals that are going to receive this. So we're going to have those bike boxes. We're going to have independent detection loops for not all of these intersections have it, but we will have it for these, so that hopefully the traffic signal can recognize any party waiting there with a symbol for each cyclist to be on that portion. And of course, just simply to add that across the intersection, there's going to be the green paint as well. navigate the party using it to safely arrive across the street, as well as to let all vehiclists out there be well aware of who could utilize that space.
Are you calling those bike boxes?
We are.
Good, thanks. Some of us have been thinking that you need a longer buffer zone before intersections and maybe one less parked car space. I think your standard now is 2. You eliminate 2 parked cars to create that buffer zone before the intersection, so that it's more visibility, so you prevent the right hooks. If you could, recommend taking out 1 more parked car space and lengthening the buffer zone.
Right now, the buffer zone where before the cyclist is going to enter the intersection, it's going to be right now between 20 and 40 feet. Then it's all going to vary on the number. If there is parked cars, for example, Palm has many more parked cars than what Belmont will have. The reasoning is because it is not going to be as easy for everyone to park there anymore. We are going to lose a substantial amount of ability for a vehicle to utilize the space, because we are cutting back towards every intersections, in addition, there are many drive approaches to businesses, to residential homes. I know there's over 100, close to 200, and so it's going to cut back a lot. And you're going to see, we're going to do our best we can to make a class 4, but there are going to be hiccups with all these drive approaches and with all these intersections or roadway approaches.
So you're saying 20 to 40 feet is what you're shooting for?
Correct.
And how many did you say? 100 and something?
Oh, I don't know that. Yes, over 100 drive approaches. Let's just say about 100, not drive approaches, sorry, driveways, drive approaches, about 100.
Okay, and I requested the loop detectors at Weldon. I know you're not supposed to necessarily work on the side streets, but I've gone to the city staff and they do have loop detectors on Weldon. The light takes forever, and they got covered up when the street was repaved or slurry coated. Is it possible at all to bring those loop detectors on Weldon, redo those loop detectors on Weldon at Palm?
Every loop detector will be placed by this job. So yes.
Not on Palm, on Weldon.
On Weldon itself, the approaching side.
Right, coming up to Palm there.
That is not the plan. That is not the plan for all of the adjoining approaches to receive any type of modifications. What we could do is we can look at it, and we can, I can send our team out there to ensure that there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
How about I do that?
Yeah. I asked Public Works, the maintenance, street maintenance, and they did go out there, and the guy was really cool. He called me and said, yes, you can't see it, but there's a loop detector there. And if I set it up too sensitive, it won't work properly. So it doesn't work with the bicycle, at least my bicycle, and I have aluminum rims. So maybe I don't know what to do. Get off the bike and lower it so the chain's close to it, or just ignore it, just break the law. But Weldon's well used by cyclists, so if you can raise those loop detectors, that would be great.
What I will do is look into it, and I'm kind of fearful to make these upgrades because the project is, like I mentioned, turns into roughly 4 miles, and we have to create the bikeway and then slowly transition, and so it extends, a larger portion than what there's going to be a transition at the 4 locations where we modify it. And if we start making intermittently improvements where we have hiccups, and let's be honest, we have hiccups everywhere in the city of Fresno, many locations.
Okay.
We could run into don't want to sound too political, but we can run into a budget issue when we have too many of these impacts where we didn't make X amount of changes. We only made a small amount of changes.
Okay, thanks for listening. Do what you can.
All
I'll
right,
just go across the red light for now. Do you think it's where it's going to cross the railroad tracks heading north? Because it goes slightly beyond Dakota there. We're going to get a lot, supposedly we're going to get a lot of newbie bike riders, kids maybe with parents. Is it a dangerous situation crossing the tracks? I mean, I'm careful, but don't know about kids.
Is what a dangerous situation?
Crossing the railroad tracks just past Dakota, northbound.
It is something that we certainly shall be very, very careful of. And the railroad does its best to make it as protective as we can, as they can. What can we do to modify it with this job? The only thing that we plan to do at the current moment is to slurry the area as well, to create a fresh paint for all the vehicles can see it. All the parties utilizing the vehicles can see it. And so along this large stretch, it's not going to be old markings. There's not going to be, you ever see sometimes we have brand new jobs and the markings are kind of grounded out, and then new markings are placed behind it, and sometimes under the wrong street light or under the wrong sunlight. It can be a bit confusing. So we're going to do our best not to do that and make it as presentable as we can. And at the location, there is going to be a spot for each vehicle, for each party using a bicycle, to retain there, to stop there if there is a railroad forthcoming.
Okay, good, thanks. And last, Jill said that you were thinking about some special signage at bus stops where there's a conflict zone at bus stops. Do you have something in mind for besides the buffer zone and the green paint?
What we currently have in mind for signage is sort of signage at every intersection. As every intersection, like I mentioned, there's 12. We're going to put signs in there that say no right turn on red, as it's the standard operating procedures for such scenarios. And it's not currently adopted by the California MUTCD, but we are going to adopt it and notify the appropriate parties that we're going to do that. In regards, what was the first portion who we're going to notify?
At bus stops?
At bus stops.
Where there's a conflict where the bus is going to pull over into the cycle track.
Mm-hmm. We currently don't have anything that we are cheering for the bus stop, because we have spoke to the bus, both the bus parties, facts, and we are going to continue to communicate with them and talk with them with the end goal is that as they see a party utilizing the bikeway, that they are going to do their best they can to subside, and then wait until the party utilizing the bikeway exits the busway. Unfortunately for Belmont Avenue, we're going to have some hiccups there because it's much smaller than Palm.
Right.
So,
yeah, I foresee a lot more problems. Anyway, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for that, Steve. Appreciate your time. We're gonna move on. Our last person here, since she requested to go last. We want to make sure that you have a question on that, Matthew?
I'll just really briefly say, Jill, there was one thing I had asked for on the work plan, but it had to do with like the HC grant projects related to the Lingo project. However, I am completely willing, in the interest of time, to that from the individual now, just since we're going over time already. Did I say that too quick?
No. And I think, Steve, that's your project also, isn't it?
I was a hiccup. I didn't hear which job.
The Lingo Projects stuff.
Yes, right. We are also working, the Lingo job is really split into, really think about it, 3 large jobs. And it's a third of it is improving sidewalk along an area that greatly needs it. And the other 2 is approximately 1 mile of a bikeway. And it's to the left, and it's through, as we know, it's through Van Ness and it's through Fulton. And it is north of Belmont, just to Weldon for both of them. And so we will be starting that very soon. We already received our topo, and it's a matter of the parties here at the city just scheduling it. We will start it very soon.
By starting, you mean design or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, design.
And envision, is there like a date of completion you're envisioning by this? Because the main reason why I was asking is like the Sean Glenn housing development is planning to apply for similar funding. And I'm just trying to wonder, like, since the Old Fig neighbors over there are like really anxious about potential traffic impacts, I'm just trying to figure out like what the turnaround will be for related improvements. Since the Lingo project is using similar funds.
Right. Our goal for that job is to put it out to bid this calendar year. We're going to try to do the best I can. We're going to do it the best I can to split up the jobs, because that job that portion is going to have a little less impact to the landowners. So we're going to be able to utilize those funds a little quicker. So
okay.
Hopefully by the end of this summer, we'll be able to put it out. But by all means, we're more than welcome to give you updates. Just simply ask us.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
No problem.
Okay, Shelby, you're up.
All right, thank you. So I have a letter of support request, and this is a really quick turnaround time. It looks like the federal government is going to be bringing back earmarks, and that's something they haven't done for a while, but it's looking like they're going to bring them back, and there will be funding available to compete for under certain categories. One of those is funding similar to our STVG program, and that is pretty flexible for transportation improvements. They are asking for projects that can be delivered within a year, nothing with extensive environmental review. And the project that we're looking at is a Class 4 bikeway and road diet on Elm from Jensen to California. It would also include some hawk equipment, urban greening, and really be pretty transformative for the area. The federal government at first gave us a week to prepare it. Now we have 2. But one of the key pieces for the application is letters of support. And so Carla is assisting in drafting and collecting those. And that's something that we wanted to request from BPAC and then any other, affiliated partners if they'd like to provide a letter. There's no guarantee that we'll get funding. The funding is limited to $1 to $2 million. We'd have to come up with local dollars to match it. So we're figuring that out. And again, this is like a super last minute thing, but Scott Seam and his team are working diligently to come up with a concept design and costing for that. And it's something that Southwest Fresno really has asked for. It's in plans. It would connect wonderfully to the City College campus that's being constructed in Southwest Fresno and really help to transform the area. So I just wanted to bring it before the group. I don't have any visuals. I don't have a whole lot of details, but I was just wanting to give you a heads up that you'll probably be hearing from Carla.
Yeah, and then she always emails me. Does anyone have an issue with any members have an issue with me signing that and sending it? Because she usually does just sign it or send it over to me and Melanie, I think, as well. Does anyone have any issue with us signing it and sending it back over to them as a letter of support?
Yes, absolutely. This is exactly what I was talking about.
You have an issue?
I don't understand. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
The project's probably a good project. I don't know. I have no idea about the project. I'd certainly like to see some details. And like I said, rubber stamp
But the project, they haven't even like started. It's literally a project of a letter of support to get the funds to even start the project. They don't even have it going yet.
I see.
It's to ask for the money.
And I will apologize that it's not on the agenda. Shelby, when were we made aware of this? Monday evening, afternoon? I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I was taking a call on the drive home from work with Randall and Scott trying to identify something because this hasn't happened in a really long time. And we definitely, as a city, want to put forward some projects to be considered. I did have a grant update on the agenda, and so I thought I could bring it up during that time. But I don't have any materials yet. I'm pulling together the application as we speak. And I wish there was advance notice. I wish this was something that we could have planned for and brought you a concept, but if we don't apply, then we have no chance at getting any improvements. And so this is, you know, the most competitive project that we can come up with the time we've been given. So
well, we can't. Yeah, it's not an item we can vote on because it's not on the agenda. So, you know, Gene made his case that he has a problem with just signing the letter of support, which is fine. It's on the record. Does anyone else have a problem with, me signing on behalf of BPAC letter of support so that Shelby could submit this application and hopefully get these funds for this project?
I'm in support of you signing the letter. I think we need to go after any funding we can in any way we can to get these improvements anywhere we can.
Excellent.
I'll say I wish we had more information, but by all means, sign the letter.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, just have her send over to me, and again, I'll sign it. And I'll send it over to her, and I can CC everybody on BPAC on it so that you can actually see the letter. It's pretty basic.
That'd be great. And then the application will be posted with more details, I think, on Jim Costa's website once he compiles all the requests for earmark. So it'll be made publicly available, but I still have to write it. So it'll be a few weeks.
Okay, well, I understand this, but Shelby, if you could give us any specifics about the project when you know them. All you're telling us is Elm way down in the southwest there. So a little more would be nice.
Yeah, I can provide an update at our next meeting.
Sounds good, Shelby. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're all ready to call it an evening. Who wants to make the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Matthew, second.
Second.
Second is Lucio. Anyone opposed? Okay, sounds like a great plan. See you in a month.